Hello, 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 people. We are live. You're up front again with Frank Rothstein on skyscrescentradio.com. It's SKYES crescentradio.com on your local internet everywhere. Please feel free to go to the site, see all that we're doing and all the very nice shows that are appearing on there. Sitting with me as always, sitting in front of a stage that can be anywhere in one of her many settings is, of course, Jade Zabrick. And you can find Jade and her band, The Trainwalkers, at thetrainwalkers.com, jadezabrickmusic.com, and skyscrescentradio.com. We have a .com for all occasions. It's been an interesting week, as always, because there's a lot of interesting things going on in the world, as always. And I like to talk about some of them, unless I have a guest every once in a rare while where I get to talk about what they want to talk about. But I like to talk about what's going on in the world. And when I get the next guest, we'll talk about that also. In the meantime, feel free to go to my show page up front with Frank Rothstein. That's where the show is appearing. And you can leave a comment or a question there. Want to hear it. And I will let you know. I will let you know what my response is. Of course, I will read it live on the air, and that's what I'm thinking. How is everybody this week? How is your local baseball team going? Everyone doing well? I know the Mets are doing okay. Sorry, Yankee fans, but let's go Mets. Very distinctive sound. Very distinctive sound. We all know which team that is for. What it has been going on this week, actually, as we start to get into stuff now, there are a lot of stories that sort of ticked me off this week. Uh, One we've been seeing all over the news is the kid from North Carolina who was denied his diploma during the graduation ceremony. And this comes from North Carolina high school senior was denied his diploma because he draped the Mexican flag over his gown in violation of a graduation dress code. It's like a little over a minute video from Ashboro High School. I don't see the kid's name because he's probably just turning 18 and I don't want to embarrass him. But what struck me odd, now, if this is I was reading that this is a school policy that no one's allowed to wear their flags. Okay, it's a policy. But there were two things that struck me odd about it, which I don't know if anyone's really read this or not, but it struck me odd. And I thought wrong. One is, just to keep things in order, they bring the students up in blocks, say maybe blocks of 10 or 12, then a little spacing, then another set of kids come up. Okay, so there he is, flag around his body, makes the first stop on the stage where they give him those little tubes to carry paper in, to put his diploma in. So they gave him a tube. Then he goes a few feet forward and they talk to him for a few seconds and you hear booing in the video because they would not hand him his diploma. I'm not sure if everyone kept up with this in the news, but they would not hand him this diploma. Now I'm watching this video. I'm looking now. It's exactly 68 seconds long. Two things again that struck me. One is, if this is the case, why isn't there somebody at the bottom of the stage? If you're not going to let him have his diploma, why are you letting him on stage? He's not getting his diploma. He will eventually, but at that moment, he's being denied the diploma that he worked hard to get. Why let him on stage to humiliate him? It's tough enough going through all that. Maybe I'm wrong, but he went through the whole thing, walked off, got a round of applause. But I thought that was wrong, to sit there and embarrass a kid like that. And secondly, he was in the first block of kids. Now there's a little bit of spacing. Next set comes up, and there's a girl wearing that graduation hat, the square top thing, I forgot what you call it. And she's got the Mexican flag on top of her hat. The design, it's on top of her hat. And I didn't see anything in the news saying that she was denied a diploma. I didn't hear multiple students denied diplomas at graduation. I heard this kid. So, okay, well, I'm looking at these kids, and I'm seeing outside of a flag and a hat, What's the difference of them? Well, I couldn't see her face. All I saw was blonde hair. I don't know who she was. I don't know if she was Spanish, American. I don't know where she was from. All I saw was her back to me, blonde hair, design of the Mexican flag on her hat. I took a look at him. I couldn't. He didn't look at the camera. Kind of. He's facing the other. He's going the other way. But I saw his skin. His skin's a little darker than my skin. I'm thinking since he's wearing a flag, could it be he's Mexican? And that's all I could think of. Because otherwise, the press, all the press, would be talking about two kids not getting the diplomas. Why not? She counts as much as he does. And that's what I really could not understand. What is the difference between a flag or a flag? Either way, would they have stopped if he wore a pin on his gown, if he had a patch on his gown? I'm not quite getting it as to what this problem is. Now, if the regulation of the school is that the cap and gown cannot be altered in any way, shape, or form, all right, okay. It's just about a kid graduating from the school. But if I'm not reading that the second kid was stopped or denied diploma that day, then I find something wrong with that procedure. I could be wrong, and please write in upfrontfrank@gmail.com and let me know if I'm wrong, if you think I'm wrong, because a lot of these stories, I really do want to be wrong. I want someone to tell me why I'm wrong in this, but I can't see how, because one kid was allowed up and the other one was not. And that to me sort of sucked. You know what I mean? That sort of just reads. And right now I'm sitting here just looking at one page or another. Sorry. And it's just one of those things that, I just didn't like. Now, let's get to a few other stories along the way. What happened in Miami? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, let's just get, while I got you all here, let's start with this. We all know that anti-Semitism and various other kinds of stupidity is running crazy in the world right now. I got this from June 4th. I took it from the New York Post, mostly because the New York Post is my local paper. And when I print these stories out, it prints out well on the home computer. But anyway, this comes from Ohio. And in Ohio high school, eight coaches, football coaches, were fired for allegedly forcing a player to eat pork against his religious beliefs as punishment for missing practice. So head coach Marcus Watley and 7 assistants at McKinley Senior High School in Canton, Ohio, had initially been suspended after allegedly ordering a 17-year-old Hebrew Israelite to eat an entire pizza with pepperoni residue. Okay, a little bit of pepperoni. So, of course, the city board has to get involved after complaints were made. They are now suspended. But I'm trying to figure out, and believe me, when I say I'm trying to figure out, I am not trying to figure this out. I already know the answer. Just because you are not of the same religion, and you do not have to be Jewish or any other religion to have a kosher lifestyle, a kosher diet. You don't have to be religious at all. You can be an atheist and keep a kosher house. That's easy enough. That's your belief. But it becomes part of your religious belief, yeah, it should be respected. And for some reason, this coach and the assistants, all 8 of them, decided to make this kid eat. Now, in the high school, I'm sort of surprised they could get him to do it. But then again, these are the teachers. There's 8 of them. It is intimidating. And yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. But not surprising. I was reading from a couple of weeks ago with all that's going on in the world now with anti-Semitism. people are taking off. You'll know what the words either yarmulke, which most people know, that the head covering, or it's called a kippah, which covers the head, which you're supposed to wear if you observe the religion. And people are removing it, that and their Star of David, as we call it, if you take off a mezuzah or something, or high. They're taking off anything that designates their religion out of fear of what's going on, and they don't want to be attacked, which I think that's horrible. And again, I am never surprised by any of this. I am not. But keep in mind that the same people who protest when someone is taunted, abused, laughed at for wearing a hijab, a Muslim scarf. This is the same thing. If they're wearing it because of religious beliefs, it is the same thing. And that is how I have come to understand. If you're going to respect one, you have to respect all. Now, while we're on the topic generally of what I'm describing, Arizona. Anybody reading about Arizona lately? Arizona is run by Governor Doug Ducey, Republican. And Arizona, the headline from slate.com is Arizona has a plan to bring back the gas chamber. And the picture I'm looking at is like of an old style, simple gas chamber. Big tank of a thing, almost like going like in a submarine, which seals very well, with a little couple of windows all around. Looks like there are two chairs. Yeah, there are two chairs. This one is an ugly green, almost like swimming pool green. It's horrible. And what they're looking to do is bring back the death penalty of the gas chamber, as I said. And to do that, they have to bring back hydrogen cyanide or cyanized gas. And this is the same as Zyklon B. And if you're not up on that name alone, Zyklon B was used by his Nazis at Auschwitz and other concentration camps to kill the Jews. So whether you're in a nice, neat-looking tank that's designed for this, or they took you into a shower, or they take anywhere that's a sealed room, that's all it is. Anywhere that's a sealed room, this is what it is. It's a horrible gas. It's been banned in war. That Arizona wants to bring it back. I don't understand. But okay, they had some problems with lethal injections. You got it? They had some problems with lethal injections. I mean, I don't know. It's not a matter of whether I'm for or against death penalties. That's not what I'm debating. But if you're going to carry out that penalty, such an extreme penalty, do it in as an efficient way as possible. Not something like this, which is slow torture. And before anyone says they deserve it, they did this crime, they were found guilty. Okay, fine, they were found guilty. But there are people who will be wrongly convicted and put to death in this thing if it goes through. And they will die in the Nazi manner with Zyklon B, and that's all it is. And if you want to know what it is spelled as Zyklon B, or you can simply Google Arizona death penalty. Okay. Next on that subject is the next day's story is lawyers. The state botched purchase of the gas chamber chemical in an effort to resume executions. They screwed it up. They had this all well and planned, but they screwed up the purchase. But anyway, that is what Arizona is working on right now. What is the way to kill you? They screwed up lethal injection, so they want gas. This is why I drink water. Reading crap like that is enough to get my mouth dry. Excuse me. What is this? Oh, yeah. On a different note, shifting gears. Did anybody read about the mom from El Paso? She figured that she was wondering how safe her 13-year-old daughter's school was. So the mom, in a social experiment, is now facing criminal charges after she successfully infiltrated a middle school disguised as her 13-year-old daughter. The woman's name is Casey Garcia. She's 30. She has a seventh grader attending Garcia Enriquez Middle School near El Paso, whose security process she wanted to test by going undercover as a student. And what did she do? She took one of her daughter's sweatshirts with a hood, so she has on a hoodie. She has on her glasses, and because it's COVID, she let her hair hang down long. And because it's COVID, she wore a mask. Glasses, mask. Said good morning to the security guard, good morning to the principal, and a couple of the kids who knew what she was doing sort of got her from class to class, so she looked normal walking around. Sat in the cafeteria, ate a full lunch, and she was figured out later in the day. And she said, I'll go to the principal's office. And of course, the principal decided to get the police involved. Me, I would not get the police involved. I understand why they would want to, but this is embarrassing. Anybody who who has a general appearance that could simply with the simple disguise. There's no great shakes of a disguise. She put on glasses, let her hair hang down, wore a mask, and was able to walk by everybody for hours. Imagine if she really wanted to hurt people. And that is what she did. And this story is making its way around. Um, and we'll see what happens with it. All right, well, we'll see what happens with it. But I think it's embarrassing. Somehow, well, I know she did, in a way, the wrong thing. They should be sort of, I don't know, thanking her maybe. But okay, we'll see what happens. Um, well, I'm sitting in Manhattan, as always, and still lots of crime walking around Manhattan, in the subways, walking around the streets. We all read about the video in Chinatown a few days ago or last week. A woman got punched, knocked out outside of one of the restaurants. I know the restaurant, by the way. Um, I'm reading about the Miami mayor to New Yorkers. Our arms are open. It says Miami mayor said he welcomes New Yorkers to the city, boasting the city's comparatively low taxes and best quality of life. So he's pretty much saying New Yorkers be fed up with what's going on at home. Come on down here. Whatever. It's not bad. It's Miami. Hot, low taxes. If you're lucky enough to be on the beach, so much the better. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. What do I know? But anyway, that's what they're trying now. They're trying to poach New Yorkers to Florida. Oh my, oh my. How is everyone else going so far this week? Tell me about your week. Why don't you write to me at upfrontfrank@gmail.com. Couldn't even remember my own email address. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you did all week, how your life is going these days. If there's something good on there, I'll be happy to read it out here in the next show. We'll discuss. Here's one. Goes Second Amendment. Houston mom shot son while aiming at escaped puppy. The Houston mother accidentally shot her 5-year-old kid while trying to fire at a puppy that got loose in the neighborhood. The cops responded Saturday and found the child struck in the abdomen by a ricocheting bullet. Houston mother Angelia Mia Vargas, 24, is facing one count of deadly conduct, discharge of a firearm, an incident that was caught on a doorbell camera. She fired a small caliber pistol 3 times at a dog running loose crossing the street. Somehow ricocheted and hit the kid. She was firing at a 6-month-old boxer puppy named Bruno, who was not seriously wounded by gunfire, but her kid was. Uh, Sadly, she shot her kid. Next thing is, who shoots at puppies? Why are you shooting at puppies? Why are you shooting at puppies? And if it can ricochet and hit your kid, that your kid is somewhere in front of you, not behind you. Why are you shooting a gun anywhere where your child is at all? Does anyone ever look up at the definition of the word accident? But then again, this sick wretch of life was shooting at puppies. Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, the kid is making a full recovery, and I'm glad the puppy didn't get hurt. Telling you, sometimes I hate people. That's why whenever you read stories about drunk people going into the animal cages, they're like the lion's den, the tiger encampment, I always root for the animal. Because people are that stupid. Speaking of stupid, did anybody out there happen to watch last night's boxing so-called exhibition between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul, the YouTube star Logan? If you paid for it, it would have been $49.99 for a pay-per-view buy. Floyd Mayweather, we're not quite sure how much he made, but it's somewhere, depending on what the pay-per-view numbers are and whatever the rest of his deal is, he made between close to $100 million. Logan Paul made about $18 million so far. That's the good news. So I'm watching this thing. I was on Facebook watching this thing. And everybody who was broadcasting it, little by little, their accounts being turned off for the night, just to, little by little. But I found someone who had somehow snuck it in. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Yeah, Logan Paul's about 35 pounds heavier and about 6 inches taller. Okay. And of course, he was dead tired by round 2 or 3 because he's not used to doing what a boxer does. So Floyd wasn't tired like that, but yeah, Logan Paul was, but he gave it a shot. Nobody really got hurt. But what really struck me odd was that, well, actually, before I go into this, there were no judges. So there's no winner or loser. The only way you could really win was to knock the other guy out, was to knock your opponent out. And that wasn't happening. And surely it didn't. What struck me odd was the press conference, the post-fight press conference. So there's the press talking to Floyd, came on first. And, he was talking boxing, saying some of the right things. The kid is better than I thought. He's much younger, he's bigger, he's this, he's that, okay. Then somebody criticized him somehow for fighting a YouTuber. And there went Floyd, telling you about all the money he's made and how great a business he is. And he is. His team is brilliant at business. Telling you how much money he made, how much more he makes than everybody else, as usual. Tells you he was laughing, pretty much laughing at all the other fighters who he says, look at the other guys. They make $2, $3, $4 million. I made all this. He says my trunks alone are worth $30 million because he had advertising patches on his trunks. So that's worth it. He was pretty much laughing at everybody. And what he did is he made the most of a phrase that welterweight champion Errol Spence said in the press earlier in the week, was that he's doing a money grab. It's like he's putting on a mask and stealing the money, like a bank robber. And there was Floyd enjoying that one. And he's telling everybody how smart he was, how he can put on a mask. He was stealing the money. He was taking the money. He was this, he was that. And he made a reference to Manny Pacquiao. If you're familiar with Manny Pacquiao, he's been a great fighter for over 20 years. He is an 8-division world champion. Means he started around flyweight, and now he's up at welterweight. 8-division world champion. And he was going off on Manny Pacquiao that, look, I don't have to fight. I do it because I want to, because it's fun. Manny, he has to fight. He has to fight for $20 million. He has to. I don't have to. I do it for fun. He has to. And he keeps going off on Manny Pacquiao whenever you see a lot of his press statements. And I realized something, that no matter how much money Floyd Mayweather makes, no matter how much his assets are worth, no matter how big his house is, which, by the way, looks like the inside of Caesar's palace, um, he wants one thing that he can't have, that he can't buy. He's not loved. I mean, I don't mean he wants any of us to send him a birthday card, but I mean, guys like Manny Pacquiao, Roberto Duran, Muhammad Ali, if you're older, Joe Louis, but certain athletes in any sport, they're just loved. And guys like Ali and Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao's made a fortune in the ring over the years. He's designated a lot of his wealth towards building houses for the homeless in the Philippines. Does everything for charity, family man. He's now the senator of the Philippines. He's looking to run for the presidency, and he is now going to very shortly be fighting the #1 welterweight in the world, Errol Spence, which works against him very well because Errol Spence is in his 20s, or is he 30, whatever he is, and Manny is 42, I think. So that, Muhammad Ali, we all know Muhammad Ali. Aside from boxing, people loved him. Matter of fact, when he fought George Foreman, an entire continent was behind him. An entire nation was behind him. Everyone roots for Muhammad Ali. As far as Floyd Mayweather goes, Roberto Duran, no matter where he goes, he's at home. Everyone loved Roberto Duran. Not because he was building houses, because as he'd like to say, I am Duran. And that was it. He had the attitude, and he was the fighter, and he came from, he's half Panamanian, half Mexican. He had all of every Latin nation behind him. And matter of fact, then when he finally started coming to America, here too, no matter where he went, go Duran. Floyd, I'm sure he makes charitable donations as his accountant recommends. I'm sure he provides for his family very well. I've never heard of the guy picking up a check for dinner. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of one generous act on his part. Nothing for the kids. It's all about him. And he cannot, at least unless people who are worshiping the money he makes or his 50-0 record, he's not that kind of loved. And I know he hates it. He just, you could hear it by the way he talks. Well, anyway, that is what was going on last night in boxing. That I haven't heard the numbers of the pay-per-view buys yet, but that's what was going on. Wow, it's 5:32. Time is going by. Look at us go. What else is going on lately? There's always something. There's always something. What was this? Oh yeah, what was it, over the last couple of weeks we were talking about the things that were being found. What we have, like Viking. It said Viking poop. Yeah, we found a big wedge of Viking crap. And there was something else. This week we see a fisherman caught a 280-pound chunk of whale vomit worth $1.5 million. It says it is no longer in the belly of the beast. A fishing crew working off the coast of Yemen landed a rare 280-pound chunk of whale vomit. The catch valued around 1.5 million. All right. A 35-person fishing crew captured a sperm whale's carcass while fishing in the Gulf of Aden due to overpowering scent of fecal matter. They determined that the corpse likely contained what is known as ambergris. Pungent, waxy substance is produced in the intestines of the sperm whales. Ironically, it has historically been used in perfumes, and it contains an odorless alcohol that makes fragrances last longer. Remember that, ladies. It's rare. Okay, fine. So When the crew cuts into the belly of the whale, they uncovered a big chunk of the floating gold. Men sold the odorous glob to someone in the United Arab Emirates, and they got 1.5 million for whale barf. I am in the wrong line of work. No matter what I ever did in life, I am in the wrong line of work. I should be out in the middle of nowhere somewhere finding stuff that I could sell for all kinds of money like this. Holy moly. Holy crap. No, excuse me. Holy barf, Batman. Yeah, so that's, I mean, someone please tell me how these things become worth worth all kinds of money. What else? What can I sell? What can I do? Where can I go in the world that is untouched and find all kinds of rare, strange objects that I can become rich for their stinkiness, stink preservation factors? So, I don't know. We'll see. I may find new work. If you're using eBay, says sellers can no longer use PayPal under their new terms. PayPal was acquired by eBay in the early days of 2002, and the two firms have worked. Okay, the changes can still. The changes mean that while eBay buyers can still pay with PayPal, sellers will be paid straight into their bank accounts. Got it. Okay, got it. Some sellers have threatened to stop using the service over the move. Now, I can understand why. I'm sure. Let's see. It says effective June 1st. All right. So now they're going directly into your account. What's good about having a PayPal account, a Cash App account, a Venmo, anything, is that it goes directly into there, and people don't have access to your personal checking account. Now, a lot of times, no matter what your checking account is, you can open up a second one for the purpose of business. You know, get paid from all these outlets, and I used to do that with my business, with my store. There was no internet, and there was none of these other apps. So if you took a credit card, I had the old slide machine with the paper, and the bank that accepted the payment sent me. They wired the payment into my second account. Exactly how it went. They wired into a second account, and that's just what it was. And now it's a little more direct. So I can see why people would be against it. Not quite sure why eBay wants to do it, but okay. So much, whatever they want. Sure, it'll all be worked out. Let's get a little good news going on besides finding the whale barf. It says the United States has approved its first new Alzheimer's drug in 20 years. I think that's terrific. Yeah. Let's see. Look, I'm reading this actually for the first time as I'm talking to you. It says aducanumab. Who names these things? Aducanumab targets the underlying cause of Alzheimer's, the most common form of dementia, rather than its symptoms. All right, so it's going right to the source, so to say. And I think that's pretty impressive. It's been a long time since we've had any kind of advancement in Alzheimer's. Maybe a little more to management, more to ease of symptom, but not to really go after it. Hopefully this works. Oh my, oh my. Yeah, I keep looking at all these stories, and it's pretty impressive. Speaking of things you can buy that you can make a lot of money on, seems that Tom Brady, yeah, the quarterback, Tom Brady, has set another NFL record by his rookie trading card. Forget baseball cards, we got a football card. Tom Brady's rookie card has sold for $3.1 million at the Leland's Mid-Spring Classic auction last Friday. $3.1 million. Tom Brady, I don't know if we're all, if how many of you are aware, Tom Brady was not exactly a number one draft pick. He was not the greatest of amateurs, college, you know. He was on the New England Patriots backing up Drew Bledsoe at the time. Some like Drew Bledsoe. I was not a fan. Always seemed hurt. And one day, yeah, he got hurt. And in came Tom Brady. And that was the end of Drew Bledsoe. And it really is, he became a great professional where he was not a great amateur. But all right, what was he, a sixth or eighth round draft pick? But either way, it works out that way sometimes. Sometimes. Reading, who else has, oh, here it is. Here it is. They're predicting that someday soon, my mother's listening to this. Sorry, Mom, but someday soon, Brady's rookie card will be more valuable on the market, worth more than even Mickey Mantle's. Yeah, he says the Yankee slugger, Mickey Mantle's 1952 Topps baseball trading card is currently valued at $5.2 million, tied for the most expensive card along with of all time with I can't even talk anymore. LeBron James rookie card. How LeBron caught up to Mickey Mantle, I'll never know, but okay. Someone's having a good ride outside. So yeah, so if anyone is around listening who's around my parents' age, you can all blame your parents for cleaning your room. And that's because you're all a generation of millionaires and you didn't know it. Yeah, 5.2 for Mickey. Tom right now is 3.1 and on the rise. Oh my. Well, what can I say, right? I don't design these things. I just get dry mouth over thinking about it. I mean, I had a lot of good baseball cards as a kid, but again, they're all in the garbage. Nothing valued like this. Uh, it's a lot of noise, including my computer. Okay, what's going on here? Let's see. Companies you'd never expect are offering signing bonuses to employees. Forget athletes getting signing bonuses. Amazon's employees, they're offering signing bonuses to get to get people to go to work. Well, there are $1,000 bonuses being offered, and that's if you take the job. But I'm looking at some of these companies that said the jobs offer an average pay of over 17 an hour. And other companies $15 an hour. Okay. They're offering 17 an hour. I don't know what, a little over. So 17 an hour. If you start doing the math of by 8 hours, if you start doing it by 5 days, your check is $680 a week. $1,000 may sound like a lot, but it's not. It's just nice to have, but it's not. But as I was reading last week, there's like over 8 million jobs that people don't want to take. They'd rather sit home on unemployment. They don't want to get up. They don't want to move. They don't want to do a lot of things. So you have companies, not just big companies like this. I mean, there are restaurants looking for giving bonuses, offering bonuses if you stay on the job for 6 months. Um, and I'm looking at this is so 17 an hour winds up at 680 a week, depending on the state you live in, minus taxes. When you take 680, depending on how your deduction structure is, that gets you roughly just about 500 a week to take home. If you're getting 400 a week, 400 a week in unemployment, whatever your state is paying, when you start figuring in your expenses to have a job, you got to keep up with your wardrobe. You have traveling. If you're driving, your time is 680 enough to get tax down. Now, at the end of the year, your taxes aren't a fortune because you're not making that kind of crazy money, but it is what it is, so to say. Not a lover of that expression, but you know what I mean. Um, if you're taking care of a couple of kids, is the take home of roughly 500 enough? Maybe, depending on where you live and what the setup is. But there are just too many people who don't want to go back to work. They'll tell you about COVID. They'll tell you, oh, I'm afraid, I'm this, I'm that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Not in every case. But I do believe that when they look at their unemployment and realize that for 100 less they could sit home, I believe that. I do believe that. I see a lot of that going on. Like I said, I mentioned it a few times over the last few weeks. We've all heard this before from people who have left their jobs and signed up for unemployment, where they say, I think I'll relax for the summer. They even plan on it. I knew guys who planned on working for 6 months at some odd end job, knowing they were going to quit and get or arrange to get fired and go on unemployment. They had it all mapped out. So yeah, people, yeah, they don't want to go back so fast. They'll try to do something from home. That's what they're going to tell you. They'll make their own. They'll do this. They'll do that. But okay, okay. See what happens with that. Um, let's get to some of the. Well, time is 50. We got like 15 minutes to go, and yes, there are some other stupid stories out there. I can't take all of them anymore. I really can't. This one really, I couldn't. I didn't know what I was looking at because I'm looking at something that's brown and light, like sky blue, I guess. And what this is, someone put up a picture from a restaurant in the Philippines. She had ordered fried chicken, gets the order, then couldn't figure out why it looked so gross. It was blue. Someone in the kitchen somehow took a towel, put it in the batter, battered it up, put it in the batter, the breadcrumbs, egg wash, flour, whatever, and fried it. Now it looked like fried chicken. And the woman got it and took a picture of it. And yeah, this is what it is from the Jollibee restaurant in the Philippines. So they're trying to make some nice little statement out of it, about how they're processing and how their policies and all that. And yeah, it was just a deep fried towel. And they're closing down that location for a few days to see what happened. You know the story. You've heard these stories before. But yeah, somebody deep fried a towel and served it to a customer. I am not making this up. I am not making it up. Um, yeah, well, I'm looking at Fox 32 Chicago, who has a story. Could we see a fourth stimulus check? Maybe, but I'm waiting for my second and third. So maybe if they come out with it, maybe I'll catch up a little bit. Scott Stringer running for New York City mayor. Scott Stringer has been accused by a second woman for Stringer says grope me and kiss me. That's going to a second accuser. Teresa Logan told the New York Times that Stringer, the outgoing city comptroller, groped and kissed her without consent when she worked as a waitress at a bar he co-founded and helped run nearly 30 years ago. 30 years ago. There was another woman, the first accuser, accused of something, I guess the best word is inappropriate, 20 years ago. So 20 years ago and 30 years ago. And I go back and I believe them. Before anyone says you don't know them, say, I am giving it up. I believe them. I am wondering why now. Why not when he was running for comptroller? Important job. No one knew he was running for mayor. Important job. I mean, for the last, 5 years, people have been coming forward with one accusation after another about one person or another. Okay. 30 years ago. So I'm guessing that someone does not want Scott Stringer in the off as mayor. They don't want him in office. So I'm reading the usual things. He touched, he patted, he touched, he patted. Okay. I understand that would make anyone feel uncomfortable. but we're talking 30 years ago, and this man has had an important job since then, always leading me to why now. But that's not actually, it's not another story. Um, that is the question I would be asking. What suddenly changed? Because he's been running for this office now since campaigning started a few months ago. So why now? What else is going on? Oh yeah. Well, everyone's being cyber attacked, as you know. TV news stations are having problems. Soon banks will be having problems. Careful, people. Careful. Careful. Don't use your debit cards everywhere you can go. My cousin had a great idea years ago. Well, I'm one of the few people I know that still use cash for simple things like coffee. See? Cash. Not a major purchase. My cousin always said, why don't you just get yourself a gift card? So what do you mean? He says, well, just pick any amount of money you like. $20, $50, if you want $100, and put that on the gift card and keep track. So when you go to all these little places for like coffees, anything, snack, whatever it is you want to do with it, if someone hacks into it, they can only get what's on the card and not get into your checking account. And he's right. Because now all these companies, you're reading it more and more, people are getting hacked. And I know I'm not talking about going to the local drugstore. We're talking about important places, military for sure. Uh, I mean, there have been banks. There's been now television stations. A couple of stations are offline for a couple of days. So yeah, be careful with what you do, where you spend. I've had my checking account hacked before. My bank was very good about it, but it's happened before. So everyone, be careful and follow my cousin's tip. If you like to pay for your coffee, your morning coffee, your bottle of water, gum with a credit card, get yourself a gift card. Just manage it like you would. Keep track of the number. You know, you spend five, so you know there's five less on the card. And your life will be so much safer. And everything else has been going good. I'm liking this time slot. I always missed. When I first started the show, I started on Mondays. We started at 9 p.m. I like that, and we were in Midtown Manhattan, which was a little bit busier, and everybody wanted to come on. It was like centrally located near all the trains and really good pizza place. And I missed my Monday nights. I'm glad I got my Monday at 5. Maybe one day I'll do an overnight. I always said I could do an overnight. There's like a 12 to 4 a.m. spot. I could ramble on all night long. I'd be playing nighttime music, not daytime music. Wow, 8 minutes to go to the hour. This hour has gone pretty well paced. Everybody, if you'd like to try this on your own, I highly suggest it. Write to us at skiescrescentradio@gmail.com. Doesn't have to be your career. Try it once. Try it once. You'll have fun. Everybody gets to hear you. And even if you only do it once, you can send the link to the show to all your family and friends, and they can hear you. Bring on a friend, have a guest, interview your friend. I've heard so many people say to me, I don't really have anything to say. And then you start talking to them in a different way than they're normally accustomed to talking to you because they figure you know them by now. But whenever I had a guest on, I had 2 guests on. I don't know if you remember, Jay. I used to give them both pens and paper. And I told them each to write down 2 questions, even if they knew each other 25, 30 years. Write down 2 questions you've never asked the other one before. And then somewhere during the interview, I would tell them, well, I'm taking a break, and I let them interview each other for a few seconds, for a few minutes. And that was fun. They seemed to enjoy it. So yeah, everyone give this a try. skiescrescentradio@gmail.com. Write to me at upfrontfrank@gmail.com. And also you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Skies Crescent Radio. Yeah, that name keeps following. So no matter where you go, punch in that name. Jade, you got a transparent glass. She's in front of a green screen. Looks like she's drinking the floor. Oh, that's pretty cool. Um, and yeah, everyone, please go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Like the shows. Every little like helps, and every little subscribe helps. And you too can be on YouTube. That's corny, but you get the idea. Okay, I'm about done. Um, Next week I'll be back, same time, same channel, and we'll have new goofy stuff to talk about. But when I talk about, I was not kidding before when I said Google Zyklon B, Zyklon B, letter B, and read about Arizona and that kind of a thing, that kind of a death penalty. It shouldn't be. But that's something to think about and look up, and it is a good historic fact. Okay, everyone, have a very good night. I will see you all next week. Thank you for joining me, and all the best. Good night, gang.